Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Sidetrack, bringing you our third look at an awesome mod, applied Energistics. Now, last episode, we went ahead and we made ourselves a basic network. I gave you some of the rules for things that you're going to want to pay attention to as you're making it. In this episode, we're going to talk about auto-crafting. Now, auto-crafting, what exactly do I mean by auto? I mean completely automatic, as in you press a button, you say, I want to make this item, and then applied energistics will do the rest for you, which is pretty awesome. There are a couple of rules that you have to think about. Not everything can be auto-crafted using this method, but we're going to get into everything you can do, and pretty much anything that is using a vanilla recipe works great in this system, what I'm about to show you. So what are you going to need? Well, you're going to need to make this multi-block structure, which looks pretty cool. It's called a molecular assembly chamber, and it requires several parts. The first part, you're going to need to make yourself some assembler containment walls. You're going to need a lot of these. In fact, they have to go around all of the edges of your molecular assembler. They're pretty easy to make, although they do require a bit of gold and a bit of iron, as well as Certus quartz. You're going to need to make yourself some ME heat vents. Heat vents require lots of iron, but they're pretty easy. The ME cable is slightly complicated, but everything else is quite simple. And you're going to need at least one pattern provider. Pattern providers are a pain in the neck. I hate making them. They require lots and lots and lots of steps, and you're definitely going to want to look up, all the exact details. Don't rely on this video because I'm not going to go into too much detail. NEI also works great for remembering these recipes. You sometimes will need a crafting CPU, and I'll explain when you'll need it when we get to it. Yeah, fun times. So, what you're going to have to do, let me go ahead and break this so you can see all the parts. Yeah, break this one too. Okay, so what you need to do is you're going to have all of the edges made out of assembler containment walls. So all of the edges, basically a big cube, empty cube. In the middle, you're going to put a pattern provider. And then around the edges, basically at each of the middle parts, you're going to have heat vents. So where's my heat vent? Throw that here, containment wall, and you know it's working when all the textures blend together and you get this structure. Now the smallest size is the one that you see right in front of you, a 3x3 cube. In a 3x3 cube, you do not use an ME crafting CPU. You really get one for free, which is kind of cool. You do still have to use the pattern provider. Now this 3x3 cube works perfectly well. There's nothing that it can't do. However, it's a little slow, and it can only hold on to a certain amount of patterns. So you can see I've already put some recipes in here. So with this, I can make doors, I can make ME cables, heat vents, and iron bars. But this is the only amount of space that I have. If I have recipes for everything that will fit in here, there are no other pages. I can't fill it up anymore. So if you need to make more items, well, what do you have to do? You have to make your molecular chamber bigger, or you have to make yourself another one. It's kind of up to you. So to go out making it bigger, you're going to go around the edges. How big do we want to make this? Let's do a 4x4. So there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to make the whole edges are going to be molecular assembler walls. We need to use heat vents for these middle areas. So you can see that you actually use quite a large number of materials to do this. Now on the inside, you have a choice. You need to put at least one pattern provider and at least one crafting CPU. So I'm going to say that again. If you're making a chamber larger than 3x3, you have to use at least one crafting CPU. Now, the more crafting CPUs you make or you use with it, the faster your machine will go. The more pattern providers you use with it, the more patterns your machine can hold. So we're just going to do this pretty simply. I'm going to do 4 and 4, a nice even balance, and then just cap off the ends with heat vents. And as I place the last heat vent, provided you made it correctly, all the textures blend together. So that's pretty cool. So if we right click on here, you'll see that now we have 4 pages. And so if I were to cycle through these, if I had different patterns, they would show up on the different pages. So effectively, this is 4 times larger than this little guy in terms of storage space. And it's also quite a bit faster because it has 4 crafting CPUs, and this one only has 1 because you get 1 for free on the smallest size. So pretty cool. So the next thing you're going to want to make sure is that you connect your molecular assembler to your network via cabling. I suppose you could stick it right next to your network if you wanted to do that as well. As long as things are touching, you're all right. Now, right in front of me, there is no ME controller. That's because it's connected underground all the way over to this network, so all of these have access to the same materials. As you can see, if you were here for my last video, same things. All right, so the next thing you're going to need to do is you need to make sure you make these patterns. Now I've already got some in here, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make new ones. So you're going to need to make a pattern encoder. Pattern encoder is fairly easy. You need one of these stupid conversion matrix. And you're going to have to make yourself some blank patterns. You have to take a trip to the nether for this stuff. Glowstone. So your pattern encoder, pretty simple block to use. You right click on it. It does not need to be connected to your network. So it's not connected to anything. It's just sitting over here. You're going to take those blank patterns, stick them up here. And then whatever you would like to encode on these patterns, you need to fill in this space. So what do we want to make? Give myself some wood. Let's make some sticks. There we go. So you place the pattern for sticks and, oh, hey, look, sticks showed up right there. So we can encode that. And this says it's going to craft 4 sticks, uses 2 wood planks. Excellent. Well, what else can we make? Let's use these sticks to go ahead and make ourselves some torches. So I'm going to do this a slightly different way. I'm going to use NEI. So I bring up the torch recipe, and then I see this little question mark. If you hold down Shift and click the question mark, it will auto-populate this torch recipe into your pattern encoder. You can just click encode, and it works amazingly well. This is great for especially some of the more complicated recipes where you really don't feel like running back and forth between, your supplies and your pattern encoder. You don't even need to have them in your inventory. Notice I have no sticks, I have no coal in my inventory. Pretty cool. Actually, you know what? Let's do this slightly different. Instead of using coal, I want to use the charcoal recipe. Because, well, you'll see in a moment. All right. Coal, throw the coal away. Awesome. Let's put this in our slightly larger one. So, torches, sticks. Excellent. So we can go over to our access terminal, and we can see the recipes that we put in there. We can, right now we are sorting by all of our items and all of our crafted items. We are sorting by the number of items, and we're toggling from largest at the top to smallest at the end. So if I reverse the toggling order, the smallest number of things we have is going to be first. And the smallest number of things that we have are actually the things that we have 0 of. So the things that we have to craft. Now, we have 63 sticks. So at the moment, we can't craft sticks using this sorting method. If we pull out the sticks, now you can see that the stick is craftable. An alternative method, if you want to just make sticks, you can change your view. So we can stored items only, craftable items only. Now, even though there are 63 sticks in there, I can go ahead and make one. Let's just make 1 stick really quick. Begin. You'll notice before we had 63, and now we have, where are the sticks? They're going to be, let's reverse this order. Now we have 67. because even though we wanted to make 1 stick, our recipe only knows how to make 4, because you have to make 4 at a time. That's just the way it works. So we went from 63 to 67, added 4. Pretty cool. So what if we wanted to make torches? Do I have charcoal in here? C-H-A-R. No, I do not have any charcoal. So let's grab ourselves some charcoal. Charcoal. Thank you. Get in there. So now I want to make some torches. Remember, you can search for things using the search bar. Torches. I have no torches, but I can craft them. Let's see. Let's make ourselves 10 of them. Well, let's go real crazy and do about 40 so you can see them make. They do not make instantly. They make in batches. And I don't know if you could tell, but that went really quickly because we have 4 CPUs in here. It can do a lot of these recipes very quickly. Go ahead and show you if I put it in our smaller recipe, or smaller chamber. If I wanted to make 40, you'll see it makes them much slower. So there's a significant difference between 1 crafting CPU and 4 crafting CPUs. But we still make them quite quickly. Throw all of our torches in there. Pretty cool. So the only other thing that I want to show you, I think you guys have a pretty good handle on how to use your molecular assembly chambers and things, is this crafting monitor. The crafting monitor allows you to see what is being crafted. And just because I did this with all these other things, this is how you make it. It's quite simple. It does require a stupid basic processor that requires you to make a molecular assembler, processor assembly. However, you can also use your assembly table from BuildCraft. I haven't shown you this yet. It pretty much, you trade off using 1 redstone. You know, you don't have to use a redstone. You don't have to worry about cutting the assembler with a quartz cutting knife. But it uses quite a bit of power. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. And the crafting monitor tells you what your machine is crafting. And more importantly, if you try and make something that you don't have the materials for, so let's say we take out all of our charcoal, and then we want to make some torches. Let's make 10 of them. Your machine will sit here and hang. And if you are not, you don't realize that you don't have any charcoal in there, you won't know why it's not making the torches. You'll be like, and you're like, well, is it connected? Well, yeah, it's connected. I have no idea. So make yourself a crafting monitor. And then it can say it's trying to craft 10 torches, but it's missing charcoal. And you're like, oh, duh. I didn't have any charcoal in there. So you throw the charcoal in there, and then it will make its torches. It will finish its operation, and this gets cleared out. So pretty cool. All right, so there's your basic look at auto-crafting, the basic way of auto-crafting. Now, some of you are sitting there thinking to yourself, well, what if I wanted to automatically make charcoal? And thinking to yourself, well, I can't use the molecular assembler to burn wood into charcoal. So how would I do that? Well, that's going to be the topic of our next video, because yes, you can still do it with applied energistics. You just need a little bit more steps in between and a couple of the other blocks that I haven't shown you yet. So if you're interested, come back for the next video. It'll be up next in the playlist. And until then, hope you guys have a great day. This is Sidetrack signing off.